Good afternoon and welcome to Mike and the Hoss on Wolfeboro Community Television. I'm Mike Danais.
And I'm Charlie Hossack.
Coach, let's thank our sponsors, Downtown Grill and Cafe.
Skelly's Market.
And Morrissey's Porch and Pub. Thank you very much. And we will be going to Downtown Grill and Cafe soon.
We will be. We're going to start the Mike and the Hoss restaurant review.
Yes.
It's going to be fun.
I think we should call it Restaurant Share.
Restaurant Share. Okay.
I don't know. We'll
Whatever.
work on the name.
We'll work
on the name.
Before we get started, though, a couple of cool things. Allie Champagne is back in with us, which is fantastic. So,
welcome back,
Allie. Congratulations. She is a Kingswood graduate now, so that's awesome. She'll be going to Keene State in the fall, and it's great to have Allie back. And, of course, the master of all masters, Timothy Goodwin.
And we talked about that. A future guest that we would like to have on the show is
Timothy Goodwin.
Timothy Goodwin.
So he will be coming on. People will be looking forward to that.
To share, the community, Wolfeboro Community
Television
stuff.
Talk about Wolfeboro Community TV. Talk about his plans for the future with the TV programs. So.
We just have to get him from behind the glass.
Yeah, we'll get him.
I think we will, too.
He's a sharp-dressed man, so people will want to see him.
All right. We have a guest today.
Yes.
Cam Place is going to be joining us.
Yeah.
And
Kingswood alum.
Playing baseball at Husson University.
Mm-hmm.
Coach of the Senior Babe Ruth team for his second year now.
Which is great.
And so we're going to talk with him, and we're also going to play a little game with him. We're calling it 5 Quick Takes.
That's awesome. So, good. Well, that'll be fun.
But anyway, let's go.
Well, actually, what I forgot to mention, how Cam really got his start and everything, was he had a really fantastic advisor in middle school. So way back, Cam Place was in my advisory. So
wait, he was in my advisory.
He was also in my advisory. 7th grade.
I think he remembers his 8th grade year better.
Would have been. I don't know. Cam was always good to me.
All right. COVID update around. We were trending. Let's start local.
Okay.
We had a baseball game last night.
Mm-hmm.
Senior Babe Ruth.
We did.
Which is today's Tuesday, so Monday night. That was the first Senior Babe Ruth game. Mm-hmm. We also had our 15U Bulldogs games on Sunday. Played a doubleheader down in Nashua.
Yeah.
We actually participated in live sports.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was great.
It was awesome. Yeah. It was great to be out there. I mean, we got to coach. We got to be dads, and we got to socially distance ourselves, but watch some baseball.
Yep.
So it was pretty awesome.
It was nice to see. We talked to last night. We had talked to the crowd at the Senior Babe Ruth game.
Oh yeah.
It was like a small college, big high school Division I game. It really was.
It was a great crowd, and it was nice to see people come out and everybody that watched saw a good game. It was a really good game.
Yep. And it went down to the last out, and
Wolfeboro got the win.
So congratulations to Wolfeboro and congratulations to Cam. But we'll talk to Cam when he comes on. So that's pretty much it locally.
Yeah.
There's a few camps that are kicking going. The hockey arenas are opening up.
Yeah.
Around some of the arenas in Hooksett are starting to do some skills. No games yet, but they're starting to do some skills. So that's good news. I don't think that there's a lot of good news though in the professional ranks or the college ranks for that matter.
Yeah, I don't think so. Before we talk about pros, I do know that once again the Nick, thanks to the Nick, they're open. I know they're going to be having Seacoast United Soccer. They're running some stuff that's starting in July 7th. So there's going to be some stuff happening for local sports. So I think we're in better shape than we were a few weeks ago.
I think. Locally, yes.
But I'm not talking. I didn't mean pandemic-wise or COVID-wise. I was just talking about for kids being able to have options to do other things.
No, I think that is true. Unfortunately, I think on the national level, where in your professional and your big college things aren't as positive right now as they were a couple weeks ago. Yeah. Major League, we'll start with baseball. Major League Baseball shut down all of their facilities because they had some positive cases come up.
Right.
And I guess we're going to get into this a little bit, but they just dropped the sledgehammer. They said, nope, we're shutting that down. Yeah. Now, they still haven't come up with an agreement between the union and ownership about whether they're going to play and how many games they're going to play and if they're going to play and how. That's a mess.
Because games are supposed to start at the end of July. So.
And the latest proposal, and it's Tuesday, so hopefully by Friday when this airs, this is going to be old news. And they have an agreement, but it was 60 games. The owners 60 games, fully prorated, which I think is pretty generous considering there's not going to be any fans in the stands.
Right.
The owners are going to take a loss on that, but Then there's a playoff share for those teams that make the playoffs, and there's going to be some playoff money there. The owners are definitely playing it close to the vest because they know that they're going to be losing money. And we've talked about this, that it's a business.
Yeah.
They're dealing with a multi-billion-dollar valued franchise, and they're talking about losing several $1 million.
Right.
But they're not going to bankrupt themselves.
No.
And, do they have here's a question for you. Do the owners have a responsibility nationally to put baseball on the map? Is there like a moral responsibility to
I don't know if there's.
part?
I don't know if there's a moral responsibility. We obviously love sports, but I hate to say this. I don't think the world is going to end if we don't have Major League Baseball. Yeah, are we going to be upset? Yes, but we're gonna continue on with our lives. Baseball, as we've talked about before, provides a form of entertainment. It also gives someone, we could call it a distraction, to kind of just be able to chill out and watch a baseball game and not be bombarded with the pandemic and civil rights issues in our country and all sorts of different things, just to be able to escape. So I think having baseball would be fantastic, or any professional sport. But I don't know if they're morally obligated to field a baseball team. No, I know.
Right now, it's not looking good for baseball.
Yeah.
I don't think, and for a couple reasons. First of all, they don't seem to have the plan in place to deal with the pandemic. Where I don't know how many players or personnel tested positive. We didn't really get released that number.
Yeah, they didn't. Yeah.
How many it was, but part of the problem is that the facilities themselves, they have guidelines in there that they're practicing social distancing, they're sanitizing and doing all that kind of stuff. But then the players leave, and they're not exercising the most responsibility when they're leaving.
Right.
And so they're going to these pool parties and beach parties and going out on these boats with 15, 30, whatever. And that's, a good chance where the infections are happening. And so then they would bring that back to the facilities. I'm putting that part on the players.
Yeah.
That
they need to be responsible.
They really do. I mean, if they want to have baseball, then they're going to have to be careful.
Yeah.
If we want to have school, we need to be careful.
We have to abide by a certain set of rules, and it can't just be for the 6 hours you're practicing in a facility. The rest of the time when you're not there, you need to be.
I'll give you an example.
Almost putting yourself in a bubble.
My wife and I like to travel in the summer.
Yeah.
And we've been debating on whether, we should travel or not. And we've come to the conclusion that we really shouldn't, because it would be hypocritical. We would like to go back to school.
Yeah.
And if it's not safe enough to go back to school, if that ends up being the final answer, then we'd be hypocritical by saying, we're going to go to Europe or wherever, to travel.
Yeah.
And I think that I put the same thing on baseball. If you want to be safe, then you have to follow the guidelines that are put in place. You can't just follow the guidelines in the facility and then go party like it's 1999.
Oh, boy. Oh, boy.
So anyway, so that's where baseball's at. I don't think that's good. The NFL came out and has said that they don't want the volunteer workouts, the group workouts happening anymore.
Yeah, stop
and,
those.
and your friend Tom Brady was a big part of that.
My friend.
So did you see his tweet when they
they
nixed it? Wheels up. He left Florida.
Okay.
And that's it. He says, I'm out.
I'm out.
Now, Florida is
there's
a lot going on in Florida. It exploded in Florida, and they're one of the states that really didn't. Yeah. They opened up very soon. And it seems like any of those states that opened up soon, we're fortunate in New Hampshire. New Hampshire seems to be holding it steady right now.
Yeah. Actually going down, trending down. Yeah,
and so they're looking for that balance, that how much can get open, where they do it. And right now, New Hampshire's in a good place. Massachusetts is also going down. Yeah. But the southern states seem to be going up, and those are the states that opened quickly. Yeah. New York, New York was such a hotbed for it, and that's going down. So there's some good news there. But on the professionals, so football, there's some questions. Devin McCourty, the McCourty twins, came out on their podcast and said that they don't think that we should be going back and practicing.
I saw that. Yeah.
Those are two of the big leaders in the NFL.
Yeah.
On the way in, or I think it was this morning, I was listening to the radio, and they talked about Bill Belichick. And so, yes, the players are in great shape and so on. The coaching staff is not.
No, right.
And so what's going to happen if Bill Belichick contracts this and, God forbid, he passes?
Right.
Then what?
Yeah.
You know, so I think that there are some circumstances and things that people need to think about other than just the players. You know, what happens to the equipment manager, the 65-year-old equipment manager who's been doing it for 45 years?
Right.
And he gets it. So it's more than just the players. And it really needs to be thought about that. Just like at school, it's more than just the students. You know, it's certainly
you had my brain spinning there when you said if Bill passed. I'm quite like, Josh McDaniels. I automatically went to who's taking over. So
that's really sympathetic.
I know. that's where I went. I'm like, what's going to happen?
Sorry, Bill.
So yeah.
The NBA, I forget who the player that tested positive this morning. They had a player test positive this morning. But the NBA has done a really nice job. I don't want to say that they've been staying out of the news because Kyrie has kept them in the news.
Yeah.
But they're sticking to this bubble.
Yeah.
Right? As of right now,
they're trying to stick to the Disney bubble.
It seems to be that and I know last week I said, well, if the other teams aren't doing a bubble, why does NBA have to do a bubble? But
maybe they need to have a bubble.
Maybe they need to have the bubble. Maybe the NFL needs to have the bubble.
Yeah.
Maybe
MLB needs to go back to that original plan where they go to Arizona and they play in a couple of stadiums.
It might be the only way.
Yeah.
It really do. And the other thing they need to have a plan in place where they don't shut the whole thing down if they get a test.
Right.
Somebody tests positive. Somebody's going to test positive. They've got to have that plan in place that, okay, so on the PGA Tour, I'm trying to think of the name, Nick Watney, I think it was, tested positive.
Mm-hmm.
The tour didn't shut down.
Right.
They removed him. They did the tracing and say, okay,
who do you come in contact with? Caddy, whatever.
We're testing everybody around you.
Yeah.
And it came back clean, so nobody had picked it up, and so they removed Nick from the tour. They separated him, quarantined him, whatever, and they kept playing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want there to be such a quick reaction for all these other sports.
Yeah. If one person gets it, they just shut down.
Right. I mean, now if 25 people get it, maybe that's a different story. But the baseball didn't really release how many people got it.
Right.
And so we don't know, but they shut down every single facility.
Mm-hmm.
Now, did they do that out of fairness? If one facility shuts down, all the other facilities have to shut down? NHL, I haven't heard boo from the NHL.
Nothing at all.
No.
It's interesting we had talked about this, even with Major League shutting down their facilities, all of these players have their own facilities. So it's not like they can't work out.
Right.
So they can do it by themselves.
I still, when we talked about this a few weeks ago, I don't understand why they need 6 weeks of training, spring training.
Yeah, right. You're so right.
I don't understand that. I mean, I'm sorry. I could go out there right now and play a basketball game. So could you?
Yeah, I know.
It would be horrific.
Absolutely.
But I could go out and play a basketball game.
Right. And these guys are working out every day.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like they're sitting at home.
Yeah.
So,
and there's Dr. Fauci had come out about saying that Major League Baseball better have their season end before October because the second wave and all that kind of stuff, which is pretty scary for football.
Yeah.
But why are these guys sitting by idling?
I know, we're just
now would be the time to go and play.
Play baseball, right?
So, I don't know. NASCAR was in the news a little bit.
It was.
I thought, yesterday there was a NASCAR race and
they got rained out Sunday. So
rained out Sunday, and there was a nice moment in NASCAR. NASCAR banned the Confederate flag, which I completely applaud. I apologize to anybody.
And then over the race course,
but I think it was a good thing to ban the flag.
And then on Sunday, the airplane flew the Confederate flag, and with the sign "Defund NASCAR."
Yep.
Yeah.
NASCAR's fan base, many of them, not all of them, not going to swipe, everybody,
sure.
But there is a large contingency. NASCAR is, based in the South, and there's a large contingency that fly that flag and use the heritage argument and all this kind of stuff. I'll take the hard opinion. That's what we do on this show. I'll take the hard opinion. I think it's a bunch of crap. I think that flag should not be flown in NASCAR or any other sport, and I think it's offensive to many people. NASCAR is going to lose some fans through this, but I think they're going to gain some fans.
Yeah, definitely.
And I've dumped on NASCAR a few times. We promised we weren't going to talk about NASCAR on this show.
Yeah.
I'm feeling a little bit better about NASCAR these days.
Oh yeah.
And what happened with Bubba Wallace on on
Sunday.
Sunday.
Saturday.
Saturday. Was completely offensive. But the NASCAR drivers yesterday, every single one of the drivers, and there was probably some crew members, when they were lining up or whatever, took his car and pushed his car to the front of the. Yeah. He took the pole position.
He did. Yeah.
And that, I mean, he was crying, and I mean, it was a pretty cool moment in sports, and a memorable moment. And I know not everybody was happy about it, but I think the NASCAR is going to pick up some fans by doing things like that.
Yeah. I mean, we should actually. I mean, now that we're talking about NASCAR, we should kind of look at statistics. They've got a lot of fans. I mean, they fill the tracks with 100,000 people. You know, to race. I remember going down south, had some friends down there, and we were out on a boat on a lake, and the owner of the boat was a NASCAR fan. I had to listen to NASCAR on the radio. It was awful, absolutely awful. But you know what? He was a fan, and they did the play-by-play of NASCAR, and you hear the
left-hand turn.
Yeah. So, but people love it. People love it, and that's awesome. You know, it's awesome for people that like it. You know,
for people that like it, you know, God bless you.
Yeah. I mean, there are a lot of people that hate baseball. So.
Yep. I just think. Socially, I think that NASCAR made a few really good steps in the right direction.
Yeah, definitely.
And I applaud them for that. And I think even though it took them a long time to do this, and it took a lot of social things to happen for them to do this, they seem to be getting it right now. And I think that they should be applauded for that.
Right, I agree.
So, golf is playing tournaments. I don't know of much else that's going on.
No. Not professionally.
So I guess it's probably time to bring Cam in.
I think so. Yeah, we'll get to talk about Senior Babe Ruth.
All right, we'll be right back with Cam Place. Welcome back to Mike and the Hoss. All right, so Coach, we have Cam Place with us.
That's awesome. Love having guests.
We've been trying to have Cam for a while, so welcome, Cam.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me.
So Cam, we have a whole bunch of different things we want to talk to you about. First of all, everybody probably does know that you had a very successful high school career at Kingswood, playing baseball and basketball. And then you moved on to Husson College.
It's university.
Husson University, and you're playing baseball for Husson. So why don't you let us know how that's been going?
It's been going pretty well. The team's been doing pretty good. I don't really play that much. I'm more of a role player, and kind of transitioning to that in college from high school was a little different. But I just really like being a part of the team and being a part of that atmosphere and being competitive every day. And we've actually had a lot of team success while I've been there. We won the NAC championship, North Atlantic championship, my sophomore year. And this year we were poised to do it. But obviously we kind of ran into some trouble there. So.
What was that trouble, Cam?
A little bit of COVID trouble. We were 9 games in, actually. We actually got a decent amount of games in. We were in Florida when we got the news that our season was canceled. It was tough, but everybody in the country had to go through it, so it wasn't personalized to us per se.
Yeah, and I think that, and we've talked about this a little bit, that it's made us a little bit of a softer blow that it affected everybody.
Right.
It doesn't matter what sport you played. It doesn't matter what college. If you were professional, amateur, or whatever, you were affected by it. So nobody was singled out. And I agree with Cam on that.
Cam, let us know, what are you studying? What are your future ambitions?
I'm in the sport management program, and I'm also getting my master's in business. And so I kind of want to go down an athletic administration route. I would love to coach as well, but being like an athletic director or anywhere in athletic administration for a college or high school would be the kind of a goal for me.
Great. Oh, that's a great segue, because you currently are coaching the only athletic team in Carroll County right now.
Right.
I don't know if you knew that.
I actually didn't. That's kind of an interesting fact.
At least in the Wolfeboro area, in our area, you are coaching the Senior Babe Ruth team, for which is ages, I guess this year we're 15 to 19.
Right. A high school, pretty much.
Pretty much high school plus a year of college. I mean, we've opened it up a year of college, because I know you played in your first year of college. You were able to play.
Yeah, I did. That was fun.
And congratulations on your first win last night.
Yeah.
Hey, thank you.
It's a great game.
Yeah.
It was a good game.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about the Senior Babe Ruth team?
Okay, so the Senior Babe Ruth team, I've got kids from, it's mostly Kingswood this year. We do have one Brewster high school student. But I think it's a great time. It's more of like a summer team to give kids just the opportunity to get out and play, a lot of kind of even playing time. Everybody gets to play. everybody gets to try different positions, and that's something I love with coaching is like getting kids in different spots. We had a lot of kids rotate positions last night in the game. Throughout the game, but just giving, especially now where kids miss their high school season, giving the kids a chance to play. I was talking to the Epping coach about it, the team we played last night, and he was just over the moon about how excited he was for this season, and kind of everyone's ready to go. Obviously, missing high school, and it has a different vibe this year.
It did have a different vibe. You know, both Charlie and I obviously have boys on the team, and we were there last night, and we talked about the crowd that was there.
Yeah.
You know, mostly following social distancing guidelines.
Yeah.
Right.
But
there was a huge crowd, and we were talking just on the side saying that I think a lot of people, obviously there was a lot of family, but a lot of people just missed sports, and they knew there was going to be a baseball game, and you know maybe Uncle John wouldn't necessarily go to the game, but he was going yesterday because he's missed seeing sports, and it was a really awesome atmosphere.
That was the thing about how we have more numbers this year than we ever have, and like I've been coaching for 2 years now, and I've been playing for 4, and I've never had 15 kids show up to a game before. Like normally we're scrapping to get 9 together for a game, and yesterday I got 6 subs. Like I've never experienced that, at least with this team yet, but I think it's going to be a common pattern throughout the season. I really do.
I mean, I've been associated with Cam with that Senior Babe Ruth team for about 5 years now, and we have never ever had more than, I think 13 was our number that had showed up at
13 is
one
normally
point.
average, but 15 is insane.
Yeah. And I think kids are starving for baseball. And, you know, obviously, you know, everybody lost their high school seasons too. And the league itself, the Senior Babe Ruth League, we have usually hovered around 6 teams. You know, this year we're at 8, and there was other teams that wanted to get in also. So, like Charlie said, people are looking for some sports. They're looking for some entertainment.
Absolutely.
And something live.
Yeah.
You know, that's another thing. Everything that we see right now is being taped, including us. But everything that we see is taped, and it was nice to go out there and see some live games.
Yeah, it's great. One of the things, Cam, that I really enjoy is I like watching your interaction with your brother. So you coach your brother, having Matt there, and Matt obviously missed his senior season this year because of COVID. And you know, we're standing on the sideline, and I just want this to be a real special season of Babe Ruth, Senior Babe Ruth for Matt. But what's it like coaching your brother?
It's actually interesting that you say that because, like, it is kind of like it's difficult coaching him because, like, obviously we talk baseball all the time, just like at the house and stuff. Yeah. But then, like, when it gets in game, we're both real competitive, and it's kind of like that back and forth is different than with other players. And I actually went out for a mound visit last night with him when he was kind of struggling in the 7th to put it away. I had to calm him down. Yeah. But and then I go back on my assistant coach is Megan Twitchell this year, and I went and talked to her, and I go, it's like talking to a brick wall out there. Like, he just doesn't want to hear anything I have to say. But he's good about it after the fact, but he just gets a little competitive. But Cam, it's so funny. That dynamic is so funny.
Cam, I got to cut you off too on that because that's what karma is called. Because as coaching you for the years that I've coached you, I had to deal that with you every time. And when you went out to the mound and you were going like this to your brother, I was like, how many times did I go out to the mound and do this to you? Calm down.
It's kind of deja vu.
So that's pretty cool. All right. We're going to play a little game with you, Cam. We're calling it 5 Quick Takes. You are obviously knowledgeable about sports, and you certainly talk about it a lot. I follow you on Twitter, and it's fun to do that. So we thought we'd throw a few things at you that you're going to have to think about. All right, ready? First one. Yes. Pete Rose should be in the Hall of Fame.
I actually think he should be. I think because he bet on himself that it's kind of different. Also, I think you can't leave the hit king out of baseball, and a lot of baseball leaves out their history. They got their home run leader out of the Hall of Fame. They got their hit leader out of the Hall of Fame. Like, you can put him in with like a paragraph about his scandal, and that would be okay. But with history comes, like, there is scandal throughout history, and it's no different with baseball, and I just think Pete Rose deserves a shrine in the Hall of Fame.
All right. Well, Cam's on my side.
I was going to say,
I'm a huge Pete Rose fan. That's great.
I love Pete.
Charlie mentions Pete Rose probably once a show.
At least, yeah. I love Pete Rose.
And we've got about 75 episodes in, so that's...
We got Pete Rose again. All right, here's the second one, Cam. Who's going to win their first Super Bowl, the next Super Bowl? Tom Brady or Bill Belichick?
I would have to side because I know the Buccaneers are like the new hot team, but I really don't think they have enough firepower to actually come out of the division and win the Super Bowl. And so I think that Tom Brady will probably not win another Super Bowl.
Okay.
And so that's why I'd have to say Bill Belichick because he will be in the league longer than Brady. I'm a Brady guy. I think he can have like 4 or 5 more years. Like he doesn't age. Like it's ridiculous. But I do think that Belichick will outlast him in the league, and that's why I'd have to side with Belichick.
Okay.
I think that Brady is starting to age. And
a little bit.
I mean, I wish I looked at that when I was 43, though. So it's
oh boy.
Yeah.
Jeez.
But
I would agree with Cam though. If he's gonna win a Super Bowl, which I don't think he will, it's got to be this year.
it has to be this year or
Yeah.
next year.
Yeah.
And I don't
think
know
the
if I
Chiefs
agree
are
with
gonna-
that. They don't have the firepower. I think they have a lot of firepower down there. I believe that Brady potentially could be the weak link in that group.
I would have to agree with that.
And
We'll have to see how Gronk plays too. I mean, it's going to be interesting for him. I mean, he's had a lot of injuries and he's coming back. I know he's a great football player, but it's going to be different.
he was a great football player.
Yeah.
And
We'll have to see
if he's the same guy. And we have talked about this probably ad nausea at some point, but that will Brady keep going to Gronk, and will that dynamic with the other players there be a problem? Because as Brady developed in his career, it wasn't the whoever was open guy anymore. It was either Gronk or Edelman or maybe James White a little bit too. And he really hyper focused on looking for a few guys.
And then and Gronk too. I mean, I know that he only says, "Oh, I've only lost a few pounds." He's significantly smaller, and one of Gronk's one of the best things that Gronk did was block. So I don't think he's probably ever going to be a blocking tight end again. So if he's maybe he's quicker, who knows? But
All right, Cam, here's your next one.
Okay.
Michael Jordan or LeBron James?
I'm on record as being a big MJ guy, and so that's my choice. But I will say this: what LeBron has done is also unprecedented. I mean, going to 8 straight finals, and he's been the dominant player in the league for about a decade now, or over a decade, pretty close to it. And I think that I've been on record in saying this too. Like, if he wins another ring or two, I'm gonna have to give it to him. So it can change in the future, but right now it's Michael Jordan. So definitely 1 and 2, though. I believe that.
I think that this is a similar argument with Tom Brady, Joe Montana, and not anymore because Brady passed him because he got the extra rings. But for a while, because Brady had lost a couple Super Bowls and Montana didn't, then people said, well, Montana was undefeated. And I think the same argument with Jordan and LeBron, that Jordan went to 6 championships and won 6 championships, where LeBron has gone to 8?
9.
9.
I think he's 3 and 6, I believe.
Yeah.
Which is it's a tough record, and I know people will say that, but he's faced some very tough teams. I mean, the Warriors are one of the best teams of all time. Like, the teams he has run into in the finals are no joke. And I know Jordan had tough competition too. I'm not one of those guys that downplays the 90s competition, but it's different, I think, for LeBron.
I think Charlie and I are both MJ guys anyway at this point, and I think it's going to take a little bit more than a couple for LeBron to pass MJ. I think he would have to pass. He would have to get more than 6, or at least get to 6. More, 6 titles, and he could. He could. I think
it's possible. I don't know. He's aged a little bit too. Talking about guys who's aged, even though he's having an incredible season, but he's only it's incredible because of the way his game has changed. With him, of course, being like the assist leader now. It's interesting. His dynamics change. He's no longer like running over people with like brute force anymore, like he used to.
No, but he also doesn't play defense like Jordan did too.
Right.
And I think
Jordan's
that's
an elite
a factor.
defender. I agree.
Before we go to the last one, actually,
there's going to be another one. I don't know why it didn't
Cam, I don't know if you saw last week's show. Mike had a really great idea about baseball. He had proposed getting rid of the minor league system so that the minor league teams are attached to major league teams, and going more of an independent league to kind of create an atmosphere of more competition, so that if you were on single A third baseman, you wouldn't have 8 or 9 third baseman ahead of you before you get to the show. Where if you had an independent league, then any team could then take a third baseman from any team. What are your thoughts about that?
Well, let me clarify that a little bit more. So, we talked about baseball needing to scrap what they have now, from top to bottom, and which is actually the next question is going to be coming up basically. But and the minor league, they said a team can have a minor league system, but they get one AAA, one AA, one single A. Where right now a major league team probably has 7 or 8 minor league teams that are affiliated with them between the rookies and the different leagues, the Dominican leagues and so on. Whereas they're allowed one of each with a limited number of spots, and then every single other team becomes an independent team. So if
if the A's need a third baseman.
If the A's need a third baseman, they have the whole nation of independent teams that they can look at, because everybody's a free agent. Every single amateur player is a free agent, except for that very limited number of players that are associated with that team. Because use the example of Wade Boggs. Wade Boggs didn't get called up to the majors until he was 26 because the Red Sox had a whole bunch of third basemen in front of him, Carney Lancer, Thompson, and so on. And it's a shame because he's one of the greatest hitters that ever played. And so if there wasn't that kind of system where if Wade Boggs could have gone to another team as a free agent, then he might have been able to get up, to the majors a lot sooner than he did. So, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I agree with you to a certain extent, because there is a lot of just clogging the system with guys. I mean, I see the Red Sox take just a bunch of infielders, and they've had they have a lot of good third basemen in the minor leagues right now that they're talking about as some of their top prospects. With an example is Bobby Dahlback. I think he was on the 40-man roster for spring training this year, but he's clogged because he is behind Rafael Devers, and Devers is a great, still young player. And so with that, we have another third baseman. I'm not sure of his name, but so if those guys would be able to be free agents, I think it would benefit them. It wouldn't exactly benefit the Red Sox, but at the same time, the Red Sox aren't really using those guys anyway. So it's like a double-edged sword there.
I think it would also increase the excitement for these independent leagues.
Right. You see a lot of young guys coming up now, and they're we get younger players in the game. And so guys aren't waiting to be 24 years old making their rookie debut anymore. You see the game getting younger and younger, and I think that would definitely help that.
You want to hit him with the...
So the last one is, what do you think about a salary cap in baseball?
I would be for it, but I think the baseball owners are already really stingy without a salary cap. So I think that would just kind of benefit the owners playing their games. And we saw that with the debate of baseball starting this year. I think the owners were completely on the wrong side. I mean, I know they have to pay everybody, but when you look at what they're making compared to what they're paying people, it just seemed like they were being a bit selfish, and they wanted to play less games than the players did. And I think a salary cap would only benefit their end, which is okay. But I think baseball, being a non-salary cap sport, is saying go out and get the best talent, and as long as you can pay for it, your team is going to benefit.
But doesn't that mean though that only a few teams compete, which we've seen?
Right. I would agree with that. So that's saying with the salary cap, I would also be okay with that. But as long as you have competent owners and competent general managers, because we see the same teams are bad. Once you get a bad owner like the Mets, they've been trying to climb to the top, but they just can't get over that hump. And I think it reflects in their ownership and management. But I think it would be interesting to see, because baseball has become such a regionalized sport. We care about the local teams more than the national races until about the playoffs. So I would say that might help bring national baseball back.
I just think, if you have a salary cap, you have to have a salary floor also. And if we set the salary cap at, let's say, $150 million, but the salary floor is $100 million, and so you'd force the Florida Marlins of the world and the Tampa Bays to actually spend the money and put money into their teams. Yeah.
Right.
And if you can't do it, then you shouldn't have a team.
Right, I agree. That's a good point.
And so maybe I would love to. Here's another one for you. I would love to see in sports a relegation system like they have in soccer in Europe, whereas if you finished in last place for 2 years in a row, then you get dropped down to the minors in that whatever system that they have below. Whoever wins that one, they get put up into the major league team. Now that would be pretty cool. Think about how exciting that would be.
Triple A teams,
and I was shocked, but that is very cool.
But it would force it would take out the tanking. And if you had it in football, if you had another league below the NFL, I mean, let's say the XFL was actually a real league.
Yeah.
And that they were functioning for a few years. You remember, suck for luck and all that other kind of stuff. You couldn't do that because if you finished in last place, then you're going to going down to the XFL, and whoever won the XFL is coming up to the NFL.
Right.
It would make those games down the stretch for those last place teams exciting, and they would have something on the line.
Yeah.
So it's pretty cool that soccer does that. I'm going to ask you one last question. We're going to get a little controversial in this one.
Really?
Okay.
We are. Is NASCAR a sport?
Oh.
I don't know. I think there's different categories of sports, and I would say it is just because those guys' reflexes are actually really good. If you think about it, because they're driving, like, I don't know actually how fast they go, but I know they go very fast, and there's so many cars around them, and I don't even like driving in traffic as is. So I got to give them at least props.
Okay.
They're athletes, definitely. I mean,
I
mean, when I'm driving 70, I worry. So the fact that these guys are
You've
flying around.
You've never driven above 65 miles an hour.
And you cut me off the other night. So, but yeah, I agree. They're definitely they have a talent. I mean, we can make the argument for other sports.
Okay, well, what about esports? Is that a sport?
I don't think esports is, but I think esports is I think it's fascinating what esports is doing, and what they've been able to do over the pandemic is actually gain popularity, and I think it's interesting, and it's a different nook of sports, but it's not really a sport.
Did you see
it's cool.
the esport league? This made Twitter that they came out with a DL list. Because somebody pulled his thumb, so he couldn't play, so he was on the DL.
That's
which
great.
I thought was pretty cool. All right, Cam, that's going to do it. Yeah. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks for joining us, Cam.
Thank you, guys.
We're going to do this again. All right?
All right, sounds good.
Good luck with Senior Babe Ruth, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right, thank you, guys. See you guys later.
That was awesome having Cam.
It was so good to talk to him.
He really is a sports nut. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
we are too.
Oh yeah,
we are too.
Yeah.
I mean, Cam could be sitting here just as well as we could, and he could talk about it because he has opinion on everything.
He does,
and it's a knowledgeable opinion that he has.
But one other thing, I love the fact that aspiring athletic director. He's going to be a phenomenal athletic director someday.
Yep.
And a great coach, great kid. As we've said before, Kingswood alum.
It's been nice to see him grow as a coach too.
Yeah.
3 years ago, I think it was 3 years ago, he was a player coach because I was still, had the team, and Cam asked if he was older, and he asked if he could be part of it, and as far as the coaching piece too, and I said absolutely. And then last year he took on more of the role, and then this year that team's his.
It's his team,
and the kids look to him and it's nice for our boys to not have dads coaching
around,
and a kid that they can look up to. Cam's very positive. And very high-spirited, too, when coaching. It's really good. So I'm really happy to have him. And he did a nice job with us, and I think we need to have Cam back as, just like we have Josh Spalding, to talk about random sports.
Love to get Cam back.
I think Cam would be somebody that would be a good guest to have a regular guest.
Yeah.
I don't think we have much else to talk about.
I don't think so. We don't really have any, we don't have any updates on the fall season yet for high school sports. I know that people are meeting whether or not we're going back to school, and then whether or not we're playing sports. So right now we're kind of.
Do you think there's a chance that we might not go back to school, but we could play sports? Is that a possibility?
I mean, I'm biased, so
no, I just would want to happen.
Yeah. I think it's a possibility. I mean, I think having, let's pick a sport. Let's say
soccer.
I mean, having 22 kids running around outside on a field. And those that are on the bench being socially distanced, I think that's fine. I mean, we have classrooms at school that are 22, so that so I think having 22 kids in the classroom might be challenging, but having 22 kids on a huge athletic field outside, I think that's doable. You could do that.
And as far as the traveling goes, maybe you take 2 buses.
Yeah.
I mean, to get the kids playing sports, maybe it'd be worth the financial piece to play, take 2 buses so that you only put 10 kids on a bus. Yeah. I mean, I know it's expensive.
No, I know what you're saying.
Taxpayer money here, but I think it's possible.
Just,
I don't know. It might not be a great look, but I think it's something that athletics are so important to. I mean, Mr. House has the figures, obviously,
Sure.
but there's a large segment of the Kingswood population that plays sports.
Play sports, yeah. And then also, I mean, you can look at music and you can look at the drama programs and allow them to, that's important to kids too. So there's a lot of extracurricular activities that are really important to kids' high school education.
And you can learn remotely. You can't
Yes.
play sports remotely.
No, you
And
can't.
so it's not like we're saying that school's canceled if
Yeah.
that were happen to be the case. I mean, you can learn remotely.
Absolutely.
So
we proved that this spring.
right.
And maybe like looking at the sports, the high school thing, maybe it's a situation. I was thinking of the transportation piece. So maybe you travel to, maybe Kingswood hosts something and teams come in and play, on a Saturday, and then that following Saturday maybe we go someplace else where you cut down on transportation cost, where you kind of maybe have 2 games, back to back. I know that wouldn't work for maybe a sport like lacrosse or football or hockey, but it might work for other sports, soccer or field hockey. I don't know.
But no matter what, everybody
yeah.
they got to be thinking outside the box.
Yeah.
And whoever's making these decision makers need to be thinking about some different ways that they can do things.
Right.
Not just sports, but obviously school.
Of course.
And restaurants are thinking outside the box. Restaurants are
Yeah.
thinking about different things.
Restaurants are doing amazing things. We finally, my wife and I went out to dinner. We didn't eat inside the restaurant, but we ate outside. And our comment was after we're done, I hope this never stops. Like, we went out for Mexican out of town, and we sat outside. They had their parking lot with tables, with tents and canopies, socially distanced. It was awesome. And I'm like, gosh, I hope when the pandemic finally ends, they continue to keep the outdoor seating, because it was great. A lot of these restaurants are, I think it's amazing what they've done. So I don't feel like I need to go into a restaurant right now. I know
Right.
it's not February, but I mean I would then. But what I'm saying is in the good weather, allow that outside seating.
Well, like every week, we hope that next week brings us a few more things to talk about, and
Sure.
a few more decisions are going to be made. Today's the 23rd, so we have one more show in June.
Yeah.
Right? June
Yeah.
30th will
Yeah.
be the next show that we tape anyway. It's going to air in July.
Yeah.
The next show would air in July.
That's right.
So, again, we're not doing the 4th of July parade this year.
No, that was canceled.
that's not
Fireworks were
happening.
canceled. So I mean, the things to look forward to we've talked about is the restaurant show that'll be coming out.
Yep, and we just got our downtown grill and cafe is going to be our first one, and
Yeah.
so we got to hook up with James Hurtado, and who's the owner of the downtown grill, and just pick that time. And he's been willing to be the first one, just to give it
Yeah.
a run and see what happens.
It should be fun.
All right.
We'll be in the next Phantom Gourmet. All right.
Anything else, Charlie?
I don't think so. Let's one more time thank our sponsors. Thanks Skelly's Market
Downtown Grill and Cafe.
and Morrissey's Porch and Pub.
See you next week.
Go Knights.